Today, I have Sebastien van Heyningen, president of Central Metrics, where they help companies improve profitability through revenue operation and their value-led growth model. In this episode, we talked about how most companies are missing profit by avoiding content creation, the system that generates consistent leads for Central Metrics, and Sebastian's take on AI and the effect of it on the future of business. I hope you enjoy. What do you think is one system that helped you the most for generating leads for B2B?
Oh, man, that is the hardest question comes first.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the short answer is it depends. It depends on your deal size and the segment you're selling into and where they spend their time every day, the problem you solve, like blah, 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 blah. But a few good rules of thumb that have worked for us. A smaller company does well by leaning on their ancillary partners. So, for example, we consult around CRMs. It makes sense for us to be a HubSpot partner. They are opening doors that maybe we could not have on our own. And through the last few years, I've made a lot of great partnerships with other agencies that do work that is close to ours. And so whenever one of us needs help from the other, you just raise your hand and, the referral network starts there. So kind of through community, you're able to build both your thought leadership and a referral pipeline. And then I would add that, of course, content. Content goes a long way. There's so many articles out there about the dark funnel, but I do believe in the benefit of just putting out valuable information, actionable content, and then watching folks come back. Of course, there's work to convert them, but I think that is how you kind of build that bridge to the client you're trying to reach.
Content is a necessary part of every company now. Like when it started a few years ago with Instagram and the trend that was coming up, it was like fancy to have an Instagram page and promote your business. But now it's necessary because like if I want to start working with any business, I'm going to Google them first and see who they are. If I'm going to check their Instagram account. So you need to have that content to make yourself as a thought leader, to make yourself a person who just adds value. And I think great content creation comes with value. What is the system you have in place for content creation so we can stay persistent?
I mean, it's very ad hoc right now. I'll be honest. It's kind of stream of consciousness, but it's just I take time every week to brain dump. I read articles, I engage on LinkedIn, I come up with my own conclusions. And from that, I schedule, 5 to 7 LinkedIn posts because that's where my audience is. They're on LinkedIn. And so I spend time engaging as much as I can and creating content for people on that platform. And everybody's going to have a different version of this, but the key is just to block that time out. And like you said, be consistent with it because the algorithms are not forgiving. And if you fall off for a few months, you might not be able to come back.
What is the less effective approach you think in generating leads? Like for example, when I was starting, I thought just sending cold emails would work. Some of the cold emails work, but it's just a number game. So you have to send it to 10,000 people, and it kind of loses that part of humanity, like that connection part. That's what I found to kind of be misleading for my business. What do you think is the less effective approach for lead generation?
Yeah, I think email is one that is kind of under fire lately. It's a lot easier today to end up in a spam inbox and end up blacklisted by your domain provider than it is a few years ago. When I started as an SDR, I was sending 100 emails every day, and I was making 100 calls every day, and it worked to a relative amount. We were never blocked. We were never blacklisted. Nobody ever reported us to spam. But that is happening way more frequently now. So I think there are like structural things around email and like domains that are getting in the way. And I think there are structural things also getting in the way of cold calling. Right now, people are not in offices as much. You're calling people's cell phones. And so whoever figures out kind of that next level, maybe it's text. I hope not. I know I wouldn't answer a sales text, but there's got to be another way. And I've seen some interesting thoughts around warming people up before going cold. So, engaging on LinkedIn, sharing content, and then coming in with an email. And so that's kind of the way I'm bridging that gap. But yeah, I would say like the old school method of just churn and burn, numbers game, get as many activities as you can get, that is on its way out.
I think it was a year ago. I read an article. It was saying it takes at least 7 times for your potential customer to see you before you can do any cold pitch to them. Like at least 7 times. So I think the content creation thing you said, it's really necessary so they can see you first, and then you can reach out to them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think back to like my worst sales job ever, and it was one where our website was not up to speed. We were not allowed to be public about what we were doing because we were afraid of like the big players in the market. And, you know, I would walk into businesses to try and sell this thing, and they would literally bring up their phone, Google me right in front of them, or like Google the business right in front of me and be like, you don't even have a website. I'm not going to take you seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
So like that carries over.
Exactly. And I saw you on LinkedIn. You're doing a great job there. Like
Thank you.
actually are providing value, and that's a key. Like I'm trying to do the same thing because I see a lot of people just putting some codes, or especially B2B companies, they're just promoting themselves. They're really self-promoting, like we do this and this and this, but they never talk about how they can solve the problem for their ideal customer. So for me, it's like, what I do best, how can I make it in a way that can help them? Because most people, I'm not afraid of sharing, because most people, they can't afford the time to put the time to do it themselves.
That's it.
So if they can do it, that's fine. I'm not losing anything. I actually made someone happy. If they can't, they're probably going to come back to me because I'm providing the value, and I'm a thought leader in it, and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like we are in like an expert selling age where people will not even entertain your product or service unless they know for sure that you understand them. And the way to do that is to keep talking about their problems and how you solve them over and over again.
Exactly. Now let's get to kind of a newer topic that's coming up, the trend that's coming up. There are 2 school of thoughts in AI trend. What do you think? Like, which side are you in?
Yeah. So I'm a writer first. So my initial reaction to like AI is like, oh no, where's the creativity gonna go? But I've thought about it, and you know, I think it's providing more access. You know, people can write stories now that don't have as many writing skills as people who write stories today, and I think that's great. We're gonna get new ideas. In the business world, I'm excited. You know, I think we don't even know the extent to which AI, as it exists today, can benefit our businesses. You know, I saw GPT-4, I think, came out recently, and a guy typed in a prompt of turn $100 into $1,000 as soon as possible without breaking any laws. And so, I mean, if I had $100 and nothing else to do, I think I would do the same thing. And, you know, that's just a small version of business development, we'll call it, through AI. And so, the sky is the limit. We don't even know what we can do yet.
Yeah, I totally agree. I saw the founder, one of the founders of GPT-4, like ChatGPT, they were showing the skills that they provide through the ChatGPT, like the amount of knowledge it has now, especially GPT-4 after the update. Like you give it a picture of the website that you want to create. Like you say, okay, I want a headline here, I want the about me here or whatever, and you say I want a code for that. It gives you a code, and you just copy and paste it. It's already done. It's like it takes you 5 minutes to create a website.
Yeah, you turn a napkin into a website.
Exactly. That's a good point. Exactly. Now let's get back to your experience in business. If you go back in time, like when you were establishing your business, is there any mistake that you're going to avoid?
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a balance to the things that we spoke about, you know, showing up as an expert, creating content, community, partners. And I think in the beginning, we leaned in too far to that strategy. So kind of the metaphor that I use is that the thing I was doing to business develop was essentially kicking up a cloud of dust. So I was just showing up everywhere that I knew my buyer was and just going, hey, like, look at me, talk to me. This is what I care about. And none of that was predictable. You know, it's hard to build a scalable business based on, will I get 2 or 20 referrals this month? And you won't know because, like I said, you're kicking up a cloud of dust. You don't know how much dust is in the air. And so I would say as early as possible, productize your offering and tie that offering to a specific problem, to a specific segment with a number on it. So an associated cost, whether it's time or money wasted or money not gained. And then once you have that line of like solution, problem with money, person who cares about that solution, then the sale almost becomes intuitive. You know, you're leading with value and you're solving a specific problem versus what I was doing before, which is making a lot of noise and hoping that somebody had a problem I could solve.
Basically what you're saying is niching down
Yeah.
is the key right now.
100%.
Before you should have been one stop shop for everything, but now it's just niching down and you become an expert in that niche to help other people or other companies to grow. And what I also think what you said is like kind of a marketing tip, that you have to include something that you save for them, either money, time, because you have to be that specific so they know what's the ROI for them, basically.
Yep. ROI is so key, you know, or else why would I take any action in a business environment if I'm not going to make something from it?
Exactly. So the other question I have for you is, what's the best system you found to retain your client? Now you convert them, you have your customer. How do you keep them?
Yeah, I would say I'm a services-based business, so I'm listen to my bias come out. But I think it happens right before they become clients. You know, setting the expectation of this, again, niching down. This is the exact thing that we will solve. We're not going to do, you know, the rest of it. We're doing exactly this. And then don't allow that scope creep. You know, people with vendors, they tend to ask for more than they pay for. I do the same thing. Everybody does it. But so make it clear what you're there to do and do just that. It's in the contract. It's in writing. Just make it happen. Once they become clients, though, you have to listen to them. Get feedback as often as you can, again, on specifically the thing that you were brought in to do. And then after that, and I think this is the most important part and one that we should do a better job at Central Metric, is show them the value that you're bringing them. Don't just expect them to understand it on their own. So the example I give here is write the case study while the project is happening. Before the renewal comes up, you write, this is what we did. This is the problem we solved. And you let the client look at it. So when it's time to renew or possibly upsell, here they have this document or this PDF or this PowerPoint that says, when we came in, everything looked like this. We did these actions, and now everything looks like this. And so it makes it easier for them to want to stay with you when it's clear that what value you're bringing them on a daily basis.
Dude, you just dropped so much gold nuggets there, because I mean, honestly, I think this is exactly, what we are doing at our company too. I recently saw one of I think it was Leila Hormozi's post on LinkedIn that was talking about the same thing as you said. Like, in order to retain clients, you got to show them what you're doing, how much money you're saving for them, how much time you are saving for them. But kind of it becomes harder for service bases to kind of calculate that. But I guess we can find a way to do that, because it's super important. And when I was thinking about, wow, it makes sense. If I pay for something and they keep reminding me that, hey, you're saving thousands of dollars, I still want to keep doing it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So let's jump into the next question. How do you differentiate your company with your competitors?
Okay, so I would say in general, because we are all so similar, you know, I run a RevOps consulting agency. 100 people run RevOps consulting agencies. You know, no matter how special your software is, I'm sorry, there's another software out there or a services partner that can do exactly that. And so what you need to differentiate yourself on, and I think this is the same thing that has been the case for even the last 10 years that I've been in the industry, is the customer experience, or on the other side, the buyer journey. If two companies are equal, same product, same price point, same industry, the one with the better buyer journey and the better customer experience will win 100% of the time. because we are emotional creatures. Yes, we want to be logical. That's why we calculate ROI. But a buyer is always going to be more likely to buy if you're delivering value and a good experience throughout their entire journey, not just after they sign and pay.
I'm not sure if you agree with this or not, but especially most of B2B companies,
Sure.
when you just check out their website, I'm confused. It's so
Yeah.
complicated. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand what exactly they are doing. So you said about customer journey. To me, it's exactly the same. Like once they land on your page, what do you do for them? Because we have to accept this truth. Nobody cares about what you do or who you are.
Yeah.
They all come in to see what you do for them, what benefit you
Exactly.
have for them.
Yeah.
So if you start to use all these complicated words, it becomes like a poem.
Yeah.
You never can understand what they can do for you. So the customer journey starts from your landing page. What you do for them, and then the onboarding, and then the customer service. And you absolutely nailed it. I think that's a perfect answer to this. So what's the number one piece of advice in leadership? Like, how do you foster a culture that continues improvement and learning within your organization?
Yeah, I would say just remember that first and foremost, like you are the cultural leader of your organization when you are the business leader of your organization. And so the folks that you work with, the folks that work for you, the partners in your ecosystem, they can feel your energy on the topic that you're trying to solve. So project confidence in that energy and also do the work to back it up. You don't just be confident and then never do any work. Just make sure that, you are making them whole. Because I think as a leader, it's your responsibility to be flexible with the people that you bring onto your team. This is your idea. This is your baby. You are the one that cares the most about the success of your business. And so you have to show that to the rest of the folks that are working with you. And you have to be flexible to make it, I wouldn't say easy, but to align incentives so that their work is benefiting your work and vice versa.
I used to do 9 to 5, and I don't want to feel I'm stuck somewhere. I want to feel I'm growing either financially or I'm learning something new so I can take the next step in my career path.
Exactly.
And the other thing that you mentioned that was super helpful is the idea behind the leadership. Like at first when you start, there is a difference between being a CEO and a leader. The leader is the person who inspires. A CEO is a person who manage internally what's happening. So most of the time the leaders are the visionaries who inspire and also see the future where the company is going.
Yeah.
And CEOs are people who actually put that action into place. But at first when you start, you gotta do both. Like how do you balance that out? Because it sometimes becomes, for me personally, it becomes difficult to be the action taker and also think about future and be a leader.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. I hadn't heard that distinction of leader versus CEO, but when you said it, it makes so much sense. And it's another tough question. So my short answer is, as always, it depends. But I think the longer answer is you have to kind of run an analysis, and it doesn't have to be a complicated analysis, on where your time is being spent. Do you need more time in cultural leadership and rallying the troops and, installing accountability? Or do you need to do your taxes, your business administration, and your payroll and benefits? And then I think as soon as possible, you take those administrative kind of office level work off of your plate. You shouldn't be doing your taxes if you're the CEO. An accountant should be, because you're not a tax specialist. You are the CEO of your company. So I think remove the work that is not pivotal to leadership and organization and strategy, and be cognizant of how much time you're spending on the cultural side of your business versus the business administration side. Yeah. And at the end of the day, if you spent all day on CEO stuff, you're not going to have the brain power left to be a visionary. So you have to separate them.
100%. Can you share a little bit about your company and what you do today?
Yeah. So I am the president and co-founder of Central Metric. We are a revenue operations consulting agency, which is a lot of jargon to say that we find people, consultants, to work on revenue teams, whether that is a fractional CRO, or a HubSpot or Salesforce admin. Anything related to revenue operations is something we can help with.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So what do you think it's a cool thing and exciting thing about what you do? What is the most
A
exciting thing
cool
about it?
thing. Yeah, I guess I get to see the insides, like the guts of so many different businesses, right? You see a lot of businesses on social media and they're celebrating their wins and their new hires and their funding. And, the work that
Yeah.
we do, we really get to the bottom of like, what's broken, what's not working? How can we make this better? And so like, it's turned me into like, the best way I could describe it is like the folks on Shark Tank. They've seen so many
Yeah.
businesses come over and over again that they always have some good advice. And I've
Yeah.
like put together like some pretty good stories and advice from my work.
What is your vision of where you are going with your company?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to expand like any other company. We want to go with larger clients. We want to go with longer retainers. We want to add more to our consulting roster. We want to kind of emulate the great consulting companies that are out there like Carabiner Group or Winning by Design by producing amazing and helpful content. And so we just want to keep going in the direction that we're going. I think there's some interesting feelers that we've been putting out in kind of VC world because, what we do is improve profitability and lower operating expenses and, all things that the board cares about. And so I would like to, I guess, half pivot into that world a little bit. And it's one that I'm not familiar with. But otherwise, yeah, revenue growth, pipeline growth, and greater efficiency within my business.
If anybody wants to stay in touch with you and maybe work with you, well, where can they find? I know you mentioned LinkedIn, but is there beside LinkedIn, is there any other way they can reach out to you so they can discuss their work?
Yeah, I mean, I think LinkedIn is the best way. I do
Okay.
log into LinkedIn every day and I have notifications on my phone for LinkedIn,
Okay.
which is crazy, I know, but that is just, where I've
I have
been
it
for
too,
the
man.
last, yeah, okay, good. I'm not that crazy. Our website has a contact us form. If you fill that out, I will be the first one to see it. So either way, you're going to get to me.
The other question I have with you, besides getting in touch with you personally, how can people be in touch with you, like with Central Metrics, and how can they get more info? How can they engage with you?
Yeah, we're actually working on a ton of content coming down the pipeline over the next few weeks, and we're going to be rolling out our first workshop probably a week or two from now. It's called the Buyer Journey Blueprint Workshop, and it's the way that we work with our clients to create essentially the infrastructure of their revenue organization. So before using a CRM, before deciding what technology you use, you have to decide what your buyer journey will look like. And so this is a workshop to help people think about that. And at the end of the workshop, we share a few templates so you can take it home and do it yourself.
Awesome, man. Awesome. It was a great conversation and I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate you joining us. And yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.